Ballycotton, County Cork. Hollywood, California. Worlds apart. But in 1995, these two places came together thanks to the greatest film actor of the 20th century, Marlon Brando. But things did not go according to plan. Hollywood packed its bags and went back to the Dream Factory. Ballycotton picked up the tab. And Divine Rapture, starring Johnny Depp, Deborah Winger, John Hurt, and Angeline Ball, became the greatest Marlon Brando movie never seen. Until now.
I saw it with my own eyes, and it was like a miracle.
Hollywood producer Barry Navidi is on a personal pilgrimage back to County Cork.
Wow.
To lay the ghosts of Divine Rapture to rest and repay a debt to the people of Ballycotton.
I was looking out of the window of the plane before landing, and there was this Irish guy next to me. He said, "So have you been to Cork before?" I said, "Yes, I have." He said, "How many times?" I said, "I've been there long enough. I went to Ballycotton to make a movie." And the moment I said, "What movie?" I said, "Marlon Brando." And he said, "That's Divine Rapture." And he actually started telling me about it.
The people of the seaside village have never forgotten their brief encounter with Hollywood.
People still talk about it, and it's probably grown several legs in instances since then, but it's part of the folklore of the village at this stage.
I thought, oh my God, this is it. Here I am, I'm going to meet Marlon Brando.
Oh yeah, I remember that very well.
Barry has something to show them. Edited footage of the original film, never before seen.
I'd love to see the footage, see what it was really about.
Ballycotton was supposed to have looked fantastically well in what was done. And people are wondering if this was so and what would it have done for the village.
I would love to see the footage of the movie. And why I'd love to see it more than anything is just to see Marlon again, I suppose, you know?
It's going to be moving because, you know, they were part of the whole film. The whole village, the whole town were participating in this film with Marlon Brando. Divine Rapture was born in Los Angeles, and I was staying at a friend's house, and I saw a pile of screenplays, and I looked at and I love titles because I go with the titles first. I saw a title of a script that says Divine Rapture, and I liked it a lot. I just liked that title.
Divine Rapture came from a Los Angeles Times article that I read in 1977. And it was the story about a woman who came back from the dead in Sicily. And it turned out to be catalepsy, where the whole body goes rigid, and there's no pulse, and there's no heartbeat. You're not brain dead, though. Anyway, within an hour, I had the basic outline, and these crazy, quirky characters.
The story takes place in a small fishing village. A woman who appears to have died comes back to life, restoring the fortunes of a local priest. Ultimately, it doesn't matter if the miracles are genuine. It's the fact that the community looks up from its pint to wish upon a star. Navidi now had a script to sell, and it attracted interest from some impressive quarters.
Okay, great. Okay. Thanks, Jeremy.
At one point, it was going to be set in Italy with Isabella Rossellini and Ben Kingsley, but it didn't happen. British actors Miranda Richardson and Michael Caine were interested, but it didn't happen. Telly Savalas wanted to do it in Greece. Albert Finney got Glenda to do a rewrite, then dropped the project.
Then we waited a bit, and then I gave it to a great director called Richard Lester, who was a great fan. And Richard wasn't available to direct it, and he said, look, it's not my kind of cup of tea right now. I'm kind of taking a couple of years off, but I give you a piece of advice. Set it for Ireland.
In the early 90s, the Irish government had introduced tax breaks to attract foreign films. If Hollywood supplied the Blarney, Section 35 would supply the pot of gold. Barry had spent 7 years trying to get the film made. Now, he had the perfect location, the promise of money, but no star. But even Barry's unconquerable belief had a sell-by date, and he was about to throw the script in the bin.
Sat down with this lady, and she said to me, so listen, what projects are you working on? I said, Divine Rapture, I'm trying to make this happen. He said, well, how do you like to work with BallyBrando? I said, I love BallyBrando. What about BallyBrando? He said, well, I represent BallyBrando. I'm his lawyer. I said, oh, really? Great. Well, I said, would you like to read the script? She said, absolutely. Let me read it because Marlon loves Ireland. He's half Irish.
Brando had been waiting a lifetime for this chance to visit the Ireland of his dreams.
His grandfather's mother was pregnant when she left Ireland, and so therefore he missed Irish citizenship by 1 generation. He'd had an Irish nurse when he was a child, and the nurse sang a lot of Irish songs, which were very much the ones, I'll Take You Home Again, Kathleen, they're late 19th century, 20th century, and he sang all of these.
Barry visited locations across Ireland looking for the humble stable in which Divine Rapture would be born. Ballycotton was the chosen one.
I think myself, it was definitely the big island in Catteroy. And definitely when you're out on the boat around Ballycotton, if you look at the scenery there, it's beautiful. And if you look across and see Ballycotton, you can see on the hill of Ballycotton, you can see the houses and the church and everything, and the pier and the boats and everything. It stood out a mile.
And the lighthouse. Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Look at this view. Brings back a lot of memories. Visually, it was brilliant, especially that fantastic looking island there. I mean, that was like, you just wanted that. And plus the fact that you have your boats and fishing village, I mean, perfect. It was like a little Universal studio,
And when we got to the harbor, it was like paint-peeling boats, battered, fishing nets kind of torn up a bit. It had a vintage look, looked a little bit stepped on. It was like ballyhoo.
My take on the script is that when I first saw it and looked at it, I said, in the name of God Almighty, how could anyone make a film out of this thing? Because it looks to me like it's a load of cobblers. And that was my initial reaction to it. It would have been pigs in the kitchen kind of stage Irish stuff that I wouldn't be very much up for.
From On the Waterfront to The Godfather, Brando had been top of the A-list for decades. His brooding, magnetic presence changed the rules of screen acting.
Once Marlon was on board, and I felt that I was untouchable, because I was an underdog. I had done only one movie, but I was in discussion with Marlon practically every day. He was very upbeat, very excited.
Brando didn't just accept the role, he picked up the phone and started driving the movie.
I kind of grew to love him on the phone because he was so playful, so childish.
His voice, it like went through my head. It made my hair stand up.
I mean, he said, "Listen, I want to give you, what kind of an accent do you want me to do for you? I can do 4 different accents." And I said, "Just do me the Irish accent that I can understand. I don't want you to go way over the top."
And I said, "Well, I'm prepared to do a rewrite." "Rewrite? What are you, crazy?" You know, no, the script is perfect, perfect.
I never forget this. This made me laugh. We should do this movie low budget, but I'm $1 million a week. Well, okay, low budget, and you're $1 million a week. Okay, all right, fine.
Brando's enthusiasm for Divine Rapture knew no bounds, and he opened up his black book to make the movie a reality.
Barry said, "Come on over to the Beverly Hilton, I want you to meet Deborah Winger." I said, "Deborah Winger? I'm directing a movie now with Marlon Brando and Deborah Winger. Get out."
John Hurt came on board fairly quickly. And of course, Brando picked up the phone and had Johnny Depp in 2 seconds.
I couldn't believe that we were going off to do this, you know. I was directing, you know, Return of the Vampires or something like that, you know, Night of the Comet, you know, drive-in movies, and here I've got this movie with all of these people around me.
Thank you, Bill Whitaker in Los Angeles. Another personal tragedy for actor Marlon Brando. His 25-year-old daughter, Cheyenne, has committed suicide at her home in Tahiti. Cheyenne Brando reportedly had made several suicide attempts before hanging herself yesterday.
Brando retreated behind the doors of his Hollywood home. The film was in serious doubt. Yet only 6 weeks after Cheyenne's death, Brando emerged. He was going to Ireland to play Father Fennel in Divine Rapture. Perhaps now was the perfect time for him to escape to a fantasy land. For $1 million a week. For the natives of Ballycotton in the grip of a recession, Divine Rapture was a godsend.
Expectations were rising quite a bit, let's say, and we were all pretty much saying, you know, this is going to be a real good summer. We're going to have lots of stuff at the end of this summer, and maybe would it become something like Ryan's Daughter, and that we would be famous forevermore.
But not everyone in Ballycotton had been infected with movie fever.
The Catholic Church in Ballycotton sits up on a rise, and you can see it from everywhere in town. In fact, it was perfect. It was like an art director laid it out. Well, the phone call came to go and meet in Cork with the Bishop of Cloyne. Well, I walked into this conference room there at the cathedral in Cork, and in walked the Bishop of Cloyne, John McGee. Now, I've been in studio pitch sessions where you try to pitch a story to studio executives and get them to like it, and it's often a tough room. It's a pretty tough sell. So I gave him the whole heartfelt sweep of the story, and it was like talking to a brick wall.
The Bishop of Cloyne, Dr. John McGee, has refused permission for scenes for a movie to be shot in churches in his diocese. The movie is
And then the next Sunday, John McGee preaches against the movie from the pulpit. And all the priests around were told to have nothing to do with us on any level. Period.
The church that was involved in is down there.
That's the one, there you go. Is it still working?
Yes.
Where's the bishop?
Bishop? Bishop not here.
Not here?
No.
For some reason, it just started with the bishop when he put the bad energy, negative energy, that this movie ain't gonna happen here. And of course, we were resilient enough to say, no, we're gonna find a church. And we find a Protestant church, and we revamped it to a Catholic church.
excitement reached fever pitch as Divine Rapture and Marlon Brando landed.
We'd never realised how big the show was going to be. It's no doubt about it, it was like some sort of a miracle had arrived. It was electrifying. It was really like a day in Croke Park. To show you how busy things were really, the lads were asking me one day, they were asking me, is there any chance for a job on film? They called to my house here one night, and I told them, I said, look, I said, there's a job here for every one of you. Make the best out of it now. I said, for the next month, he can be drinking afterwards, do what you like. I said, but take it from me, from here on, forget your drink. I said, you won't have time to drink a pint. This is how big the action is over there, I said.
Mobile phones were a bit of a novelty. And I remember one evening on the counter there were 17 mobile phones. And this sort of stuff we had never ever seen. I mean, there was one guy here that had a mobile phone, but it was about half the size of a cash register. It was a bloody big thing. But these modern people had these modern mobile phones, and it was a total new phenomenon to us to see all these mobile phones in one place at one time.
The excitement of Ballycotton was unexplainable, really. You had people coming from England, Europe, because screen legends had come to a tiny little village in the south coast of Ireland to shoot what could be the next greatest Gone with the Wind, for want of a better description.
Obviously his reputation precedes him and his fame in a way, so everybody's kind of primed and ready for this amazing character to emerge. And I know that they were prepping a phone box like the day before or something that he arrived, and you're kind of thinking, you know, all these men working on this phone box. It's only a phone box, but it's Marlon Brando's phone box. So that was quite amazing. I think I went in and shut the door and stood there for a bit and then came out again thinking, he's going to be here tomorrow, he's going to be standing in this.
The quick-thinking Stephen Pearce seized a chance to cash in and opened a pub.
It was extraordinary. There was a kind of, you know, what am I smoking kind of atmosphere, because people lost their minds completely. We just don't believe we can get that lucky that Marlon Brando and Deborah Winger and what was his name, Johnny Depp, would all come to our town, and they were driving in every morning in their Rolls Royces, and I kind of got used to it after a week, you know. Oh, there goes, you knew which Rolls Royce belonged to who.
Brando took up residence in Shanagari House, his private retreat for the duration of the film.
The first thing about meeting Marlon Brando, as far as I was concerned, I would be in awe about his career. So I would have gone to meet him, willing to be disappointed. All I have to say is that far from being disappointed, I became absolutely bowled over by the man's talent, charm, and intelligence.
Next thing I heard him coming down the stairs, and he stood at the kitchen door there, and he just put the hands up like that, and he said, "Patricia, I'm Marlon Brando," right? And I thought, you know. So he came and gave me a big hug and shook hands and said he was delighted to be here and have somebody in the house cooking his food. And I stood there cooking his breakfast, and I just felt so happy and so at ease that straight away I loved what I was doing, and I would have wished this could have gone on forever, right? I was so at ease with him.
Brando may have charmed Patricia, but he often tormented his directors.
When Marlon came to Ireland, he wanted flaming orange hair. And, you know, I got wind of this, and I immediately ran to the production office and said, I gotta have a car, I gotta have a car. I jumped in the car and I went racing down the road to where he was staying. And sure enough, my first vision of Marlon on that movie was him descending the staircase in a robe with clown orange hair and the top of his head shaved. And that was my first face-to-face meeting with Marlon.
I never forget Tom came back to the office. He looked like really white, like a chalk. So what happened? He said, well, you don't want to give up, forget it, man. You don't have a movie. I said, what happened? He said, well, forget it. He's completely changing the script, and he's changing the whole scenery, he's changing the whole character. I said, so what? Let him do it. Right, Tom?
Everything is fine.
That's right. Remember, I did give you something. I want something back.
I got my happy face.
I want something back.
They were all throwing this party. It was the night before the start and toasting each other and saying, yeah, great, tomorrow we start making the movie. And they were worried that I was sick because I was white. I mean, literally white as a sheet. And I kept saying, Barry, we got trouble. We got big trouble here. You know, we have to, Tom, no, have a glass of wine, sit down. You know, it's Marlon. I'm sure you'll handle Marlon. Don't worry. I said, no, Barry, we got to talk. We got to talk. No, seriously, we need to find a quiet place and talk.
Divine Rapture was 15-year-old local girl Elaine Simmons's first acting job. She watched the stars closely to see how it should be done.
I remember on set, one day he fell asleep. Our house was built inside a sort of a large barn, which was just to be the studio at the time. Obviously, there's no studios in Ballycotton. And he fell asleep on the armchair, which was part of the set of our living room of our house. And his people asked them to stop filming so that he could sleep. And they didn't want to wake him up.
Marlon was a legend. If you're going to work with a legend, you just accept what's thrown at you, in a sense. But you fitted into it. He said there are rules for other people, there's rules for him. Different. They're different. You know? And then Brando called meetings in his Georgian house and with Johnny Depp there, and if anybody wanted to smoke, they had to get inside the fire guard and put their head up the chimney to smoke, because Brando didn't want any smoking in the room. So I can remember myself, I smoked at that time, and Johnny Depp smoked with our heads up the chimney having a cigarette, talking about what we were going to do with the movie. It was very bizarre.
Welcome to Ballycotton, gateway to the east.
The script called for a second miracle of fish raining down from the sky. A Cork fish dealer duly supplied the box of mackerel.
Marlon Brando comes walking along the street, and all of a sudden, coming out of the rain, we see these mackerel. And the words coming out of Marlon's mouth, mackerel, mackerel, holy mackerel, it's another miracle in Ireland. The mackerel are here.
What's that? Mackerel.
And I'll never forget, as he was about to say mackerel and he opened his mouth, this mackerel went nosedive into Marlon's mouth. We had to cut and reshoot it again. It was just priceless.
I mean, it's very difficult when you're living in a fishing village to imagine that it will actually rain fish. And this was the sort of stuff that seemed to be permeating through the film. And we were taking it, from that point of view, we were taking it with a slight grain of salt. The fish actually needed salt because they were very well gone off. They were so rotten that I had a greyhound out the back who would eat almost anything, and he refused to eat them.
Brando and Depp had become firm friends after working together on Don Juan de Marco and had their own unique way of creating a playful atmosphere on set.
They're both children, you know, I mean, really, it's very sweet. But they both had farting machines, so they were sort of talking, you know, Brando would be saying things like that, and so on, and it went on like that. And Depp and he were in fits of laughter, which Deborah Winger did not find funny at all. I mean, he's such a prankster. That's the thing that comes across mostly with him. I mean, they took the farting machines everywhere. They took him into the restaurant. A poor little lad who was, I think, a commie waiter, you know, was just sort of blushing because he thought they were real, you know. And Brando was saying, I think I'll have beans. And he was saying, well, no, I don't. Mr. Brando, I don't think that would be a great idea. And so so that was all going on. It was and bright red he was, Paula.
He said, it was always my dream to come to Ireland. Had this film never happened, he said, I would have come to Ireland before I died. It was my dream and I would have done it. And he said, my mother had Irish connections. And he said, I always felt a bit of Irish in me. It's such a privilege to be here, he said. I could just sit, he said, in this house and chat like this all day.
Brando's love of Ireland was deepening. He announced to the press that he felt more at home here than anywhere else.
It was much more advanced, you know, than just simply an attachment to Ireland. He looked at several properties in Ireland. We were as far as, in fact, actually deciding where he would live and what he would like in relation to security and how much space he needed. We were as far as that, and we actually identified 1 or 2 directions for him where he might go which would meet his requirements. We were that far.
She had been depressed ever since her boyfriend was shot to death 5 years ago by her half-brother, Christian Brando.
Tragedy pursued Brando throughout his life. 5 years before Cheyenne's suicide, her half-brother, Christian, had killed her husband. Brando had found a kindred spirit in Patricia.
He used to ask me to come and chat to him in the living room. And when I told him I was working with the boys with the drug addiction, he was very, very interested in that. And he told me all about his own family and the drug problems he had, and the drug problem he had himself when he was a young boy, that, you know, a teenager, that he was very much into the drugs. And he said he never came from school to find his mum at home. I came from school, he said, and went to the pub, directly to the pub, to try and bring my mum home, because he said my mum would be always suffering from her drinking. People knew I was up here with him, and a lot of people said to me, why is he that nasty that he won't sign autographs only for children? And he said, I won't sign autographs for adults. He said, because who am I? He said, big Marlon Brando. He said, the big star. He said, that allowed my daughter, he said, to go out my living room door and crash her car. He said, at driving 100 miles an hour. He said, because her big famous dad, he said, didn't have the time, he said, to sit and speak to her, or sit and give her some of my time. He said, I was so wrapped up in myself, he said, and my acting, that I didn't have time for my own family. So he said, that's why I won't sign autographs. Because those people out there, he said, are a million times better than I am.
Inside Shanagari House, Brando was at peace. But outside, the vultures hovered.
Hey. By night and by day, the paparazzi were outside Shanagari House. They had step ladders, they had every kind of a gadget you could think of to get up on trees to take a photograph of them. I thought it was a disgrace. We were trying to do our best to stop it. The Garda Síochána were trying to do their best to stop it, but they just were ruthless, and we just couldn't. But he was being hounded and hounded. I thought it was very, very wrong on the men. I thought myself.
They placed themselves on the wall down there and on the trees. Now, they didn't come into the ground, but it was from down here on the wall down there that they got the shot of him while he was standing at the window looking across at the view in Ballycotton, which he loved doing anyway. He knew then that he couldn't get out as such. He wouldn't venture out. He wanted to go out and mix more with the people. And he wanted to mix with the surrounding area here. He wanted to go down the village to the pub, and I think that told him that, well, when they do that to him here, that there was no chance of he sort of getting out to mix with the people.
This devastating image of Brando was splashed across the pages of the world's press. On top of this, his second payment of $1 million failed to arrive.
None of us really were, at the same time, eager to see him, especially from production side, because there wasn't any money. What am I going to still talk to Marlon about other than money? Now it's about shit or get off the pot. Money, deliver.
When Hollywood producers say the money is in the bank, they mean it's on its way. And the money was on its way. Barry had a guarantee from financier David Lowe that the cash was about to be released. Brando was about to walk unless Barry could produce the pot of gold.
Marlon was saying, hey, what's going on here? I mean, his agent was saying, what's going on here? The press was about Marlon, everything Marlon. So Marlon was really taking a lot of the pressure, in many ways, because his name is what basically riding on the picture.
Despite being humiliated by the paparazzi and the delay in his wages, Brando did not walk.
I'm glad about one thing. From Brando I heard nothing but absolute love and admiration for the people of Ballycotton. And he regarded it as one of his great positive experiences. He cared for them.
Brando agreed to defer his wages, as did the other stars. After all, it wasn't the first successful Hollywood movie to have some financial hiccups. The cameras kept rolling, and the summer romance between Hollywood and Ballycotton was getting serious.
With Johnny Depp, it was quite daunting because he's an extremely attractive man, and I just felt so awkward. I mean, you just feel awkward of what to say, but I tried to be really cool. Like he was talking about being in Lily's Bordello the night before with Kate Moss and, you know, Shane McGann. I was like, oh, yeah, I like Lily's. Lily's is quite cool. We had this scene where, you know, I'm standing and he offers me a lift, and yes, there was a little bit of flirting going on in the scene, and it was very nice.
I don't want no publicity.
One scene we were shooting, we were running in the door as a family, and who was with Marlon Brando and Johnny Depp were both with us. So was Deborah Winger, they were all there that day. And then Marlon Brando turned around to me and the girl who was playing my younger sister, and he said, maybe you've had a fight about something, the sisters fight, and what could you have done? Maybe you took her dress, you wearing her dress, and he just gave us this whole scenario to work with. So that was a nice little bit of early tuition there, a bit of an honour to be given that by Marlon Brando at 16.
It was great. I just thought it was wonderful. And, you know, in my kind of 20s thinking, oh my God, I'll never have to go for auditions again. This is me, I'm made, you know. The scripts will just land on the doorstep and I'll just have to read them and chuck them in the bin or accept parts, because when you've got such an amazing cast like this, you think, right, I'm part of the set now, you know.
Saturday morning at 6 a.m., that's when I had the phone call that I never forget. And that's one thing I don't forget. Everything else you can forget sometimes. That when I had Rick Nacita and Barry Hirsch, who was Deborah Winger's lawyer, online telling me, look, Barry, this is not your fault, but we have bad news for you. And basically the escrow is missing and Deborah's hasn't been paid. I just felt like, am I dreaming? This is a nightmare? What is this? This is like... And Rick said, look, you have 24 hours, Barry, if you can rescue it by somehow. If we can kind of replace it or get the cash flow going. I said, Rick, it's Saturday. I mean, how am I going to get it done in 24 hours?
An escrow is a secure account into which an actor receives their fee up front, which they can only withdraw once they have completed the job.
The escrow account was fake. There was never any escrow account. The people who were supposed to come through on this movie and deliver the financing on this movie had not only failed, but had committed fraud. And there was just no way that it was going to come back.
The fake escrow company, arranged by financier David Lowe, was tracked to an office block in LA. But there was no office. It was the equivalent of a P.O. box.
The fraud was clearly what did it, because it's only a $10 million picture, but nobody would touch it. Nobody would pick it up. There was Marlon, there was Johnny Depp, there's myself, there was Deborah, there was Angelina, who was very hot at that time after commitments, you know, and things. You'd think anybody would pick up a $10 million picture. Even then, it was not expensive. Very reasonable. But nobody would touch it. Everybody would know, oh, no.
The people of East Cork and Ballycotton in particular are trying to come to terms with this latest collapse. Last Friday, production ground to a halt for a day, but this week it seems that there's going to be no comeback.
I remember doing a scene and then going back, because it was an early scene, and going back to the trailer. The first AD knocked on my door and said that I was wrapped. And I thought, oh, okay, I'm wrapped for the day. And he went, no, you're wrapped. That's it. Film is over. It's gone. That was that.
I was very upset that day. I was probably bawling my eyes out. I don't really remember. I know I was crying. And I was sitting up the front where Tom had put me, the director, and sit down there. And then he said to me, come here. And he took me outside. And he said to me, look, you don't need to listen to all that. It's not important for you. But I'm sorry.
It's like everything kind of flashes by you in 2 seconds, like before you die. That's what they say. That before you're about to die, you see your childhood coming in, and until I felt like everything went back, from the beginning of how we came up with Divine Rapture, and how, I mean, is it possible that this suddenly dream has become a nightmare, and it hit me. It really hit me.
My heart just ached for this guy, because he had reached a point where there was nothing more he could do. And suddenly he saw this thing that he had literally put together through force of will was suddenly gone, just gone. You know, he was in tears over the thing.
Well, at the moment here in Ballycotton, the whole production crew are wrapping it up, as they say, and getting ready to pull out immediately. There seems to be absolutely no hope of saving the situation now, or indeed ever finishing the film.
Since this morning's dramatic statement from the film's 3 producers, work on de-rigging the set got underway. Trailers for the stars, trucks for the lighting rigs soon began to prepare for departure. We all know it was doomsday scenario. Nobody wanted this film to end the way it is. What a way you look at this. From the top of the directors down to the people that were making props or making things, nobody was to gain out of us.
People were complaining. How are we going to get paid? Who's going to pay us? Because we owed people money. It wasn't hostile or anything. It was just not nice. It was like we felt we have a huge circus coming to town, and suddenly, before they could have fun with it, the circus left town.
I rang up a maker of gravestones in Middleton and I said, listen, I need a gravestone. And you know, when you say that, they always go very serious. Oh yes, you know, like undertakers do. And I said, here it is, Divine Rapture, born such a day in July, died such a day in July. He said, but it's the same year. I said, yeah, and it's a movie. It made the 9 o'clock television news north and south of the border. It made the papers next day, and it made the front of the Hollywood Gazette that month.
You could say Hollywood came to Ballycotton, it left. It's a pity it didn't finish.
From a Hollywood perspective, here's the bottom line on Divine Rapture. Divine Rapture was a close call, a close thing, but it was a miss. That's just the way Hollywood is. You know, Hollywood is always about success. How you got there is not an issue. And nothing is worse in Hollywood than failure. You know, and how that happened is not an issue. It doesn't matter if you fail. No amount of explanation is going to patch that over. You just fail. And if you succeed, it doesn't matter how you got there. You succeeded. That's all that counts.
It's the only film that I've ever been in that didn't get finished. That's saying something out of about 117 films. So, yeah, it has a unique position in my life.
Marlon Brando had one piece of unfinished business before leaving Ireland.
The morning he was leaving, he asked me, would it be possible for me to take him to see the centre where I worked? So I said it was. So he said, I don't want to be driven there. He said, I want to go in your car. He said, I don't want the media, he said, on my back while I'm doing this. It was only a small little car I had, and he was at the breath of him. He was partly sitting on my seat and inside in the front. And I said to him going down the drive, I said, you know, I said, this must be an awful come down to you to be travelling in an old banger like this. And he said, oh, he said, this is what I love. He said, this has made my day. I just walked into the house and I said, you know, I have somebody here to see you. And they said, Grant, fine. And they said, you know, who is it, like, you know, look, to cut the place, it's not tidied or anything. I said, it's Marlon Brando. And they said, what? He looked at the kitchen and he seen the cooker, which had a small old cooker with a gas bottle stuck against the door to keep it closed. And he said, oh, this is bad, those boys deserve better than this. And then he walked through the house and he said they need a pool table and they need some new beds. So he wrote me a cheque for £5,000, which was a lot of money 14 years ago. And we are still doing catering courses with them and enabling them to go out there and get jobs. You know, some of them that go straight, go out there and get some jobs in a hotel or whatever. So really speaking, Marlon started all that going.
Barry has arranged to meet some of the locals who were involved in the film for the world premiere of Divine Rapture.
Some of you here, I recognize your faces. I remember you. You were the cook for Marlon. And we had a good time. We really had a brilliant time. But sadly, you know, we had a dream and it became quickly a Hollywood nightmare. But I'm so happy to be here because this footage, this 20 minutes montage that I put together, nobody has seen. You're the first one, publicly. I've done this for you guys to see it because I wanted to bring it kind of home for you guys to see what it could have been. As Marlon would have said if he was here, this could have been a contender. It could have been somebody. So this is it. Enjoy the film. We'll talk about it afterwards.
I've seen church.
You will, of course, Father.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Good day to you. Well, there's the good doctor. Oh, it's a pity about your eye. Now, tell me, I was wondering, is there any word yet from your man of science?
Oh, there's a number of theories.
I think she's working on another miracle. I can feel it.
Oh, I am so scared. Do you mean it's going to rain again? In Ireland?
Oh, me still, my beating heart.
No, Father, don't worry. We'll find out what's really going on with Mary Fitzpatrick.
Indeed we will.
I have the Medical Institute in Dublin working on it.
And I have the Almighty. Good day to you, Doctor.
It's the most expensive short movie of all time.
There's a place whose foundations are constructed of mist, blather, and blarney. Its population lives on a diet of dreams, fantasies, and fairy tales. A place where, if everyone just believes hard enough, anything can happen, whether the money's in place or not. It's called Hollywood.
Father Fennell, this is the question, isn't it? God works his miracles in strange and mysterious ways. So I can just visualize Marlon saying that in his good deep voice.
Jesus, I'm so embarrassed. Does everybody know about this?
What is it with her anyway?
Hard to tell. It's either sainthood or brain damage.
You can't be running out on me like this.
You just watch me.
Well, then I want my money back.
Why should I be giving you your money back?
Why? Because you gave biles to the wrong bleeding person.
I did not.
Yes, you did.
I did not.
Yes, you did.
I did not.
Yes, you did.
Film it there, because you and I have been talking about it for 2 years, obviously. Trying to see if we can revamp it and remake it and redo it, whatever you want to call it. In the memory of Marlon Brando. We should do it.
Yes.
Oh, blessed Jesus. It's raining mackerel. It's a miracle. Mackerel, it's raining mackerel. Oh, God bless us. Oh!
It's raining fishes.
Now, tell me, did she tell you about the miracle of the fish? It was in this very room. She fell to her knees, and the heavens opened up, and there were bolts of lightning bashing the earth. And in the midst of all this, fish began raining on the earth, flapping and wiggling and moving around all over the street. I saw it with my own eyes, and it was like a miracle. It was biblical. I never seen anything like it my whole life.